Welcome to Prosperize, your destination for growth and success. So join us on this journey towards prosperity, and let's make your dreams a reality.
How JD Vance became so popular. JD Vance, a name that went from best-selling author to one of the most influential figures in American politics. In 2024, he became the Vice President of the United States, running alongside Donald Trump. Today, we'll explore Vance's meteoric rise, his successful run for vice president, his views on illegal immigration, free speech, and his impact on the global conversation around censorship.
What do you think? Should he run for office?
I think someday, if the time is right, and if he really feels that that's the best way that he can contribute to his home, then I think that would be a great idea.
I'm very flattered when people ask me, and you never say never, but it's just not something that I think about doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Who is JD Vance?
I said something or some conversation topic really ignited her temper, and then she just sped up, and she kept on saying, I'm just going to crash this car and kill us both. I'm going to crash this car.
Born in Ohio, JD Vance's early life was marked by struggles familiar to many Americans: poverty, family challenges, and a tough economic landscape.
And when you watched them take her, do you remember how that felt?
Honestly, I just felt relieved. In that moment, I just felt relieved. And I thought to myself, all right, I'm going to live another day. That's how terrified I was. I mean, I just wanted that situation to end. And then I just broke down, right? I remember I was just really sad and felt very lonely because I'm sitting in the back of this police cruiser. They've just arrested my mom. The relief of having survived another day was gone. And then I just wanted, somebody to come and take me away. And that was actually Lindsay. That was who, sorry.
Why does that particular moment bring tears?
One, it's just such a crystal clear memory, and so it's hard almost not to feel the same way that I felt as a 12-year-old kid sitting in the back of that police cruiser. But I also think that that moment is kind of a microcosm of my entire life, is that there was this brief moment of terror and of feeling really lonely, and then there was Lindsay.
I would die for that kid. And I know he would too.
But it was his memoir, Hillbilly, Elegy, that brought him national attention. The book, which became a bestseller, painted a portrait of working-class America and the struggles of the Rust Belt.
When I finished the book, I felt a little worried about you.
Why?
I wondered if you had really dealt with everything.
That's a really good question. I've never been asked this. I think that the honest answer is that I probably haven't dealt with everything, but that's part of growing up and living your life, is you're constantly dealing with this stuff and you're constantly working through it. The book is not an effort to sort of finally work through all of these things that happened when I was a kid. It's the beginning of an effort that will probably take me for the rest of my life, and I'm okay with that.
Vance's memoir resonated with millions of readers who felt their voices were being ignored by the political elite. His personal story gave him the platform to become a prominent voice for America's working class.
I didn't come from the elites. I didn't come from the Northeast or from San Francisco. I came from a Southern Ohio steel town, and it's a town that's really struggling in a lot of ways that are indicative of the broader struggles of America's working class. Heroin has moved in, killing a lot of people I know. Family violence, domestic violence, and divorce have torn apart families. And there's a very unique sense of pessimism that's moved in. Think about rising mortality rates in these communities and recognize that for a lot of these folks, the problems that they're seeing are actually causing rising death rates in their own communities. So there's a very real sense of struggle.
JD Vance's political rise and vice presidential victory.
I, James David Vance, do solemnly swear.
I, James David Vance, do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
on
which I am about to enter. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Vice.
Vance's political career took a major leap when he became Donald Trump's running mate for vice president in the 2024 election. Trump recognized Vance as the ideal partner, a voice for the forgotten Americans, with a message of anti-globalism and revitalizing American industry.
Well, I think that the biggest problem is that folks have really lost hope in these communities. And so one of the things I realized when I was a kid, one of the things my grandma really recognized in me is that there was a certain cultural message that I was getting from my neighborhood, from my family, from the people around me, that there really wasn't any hope left, that no matter how hard you worked, no matter how hard you tried to get ahead, it wasn't going to result in anything. And I think it's important to recognize that life is unfair in these communities. I'm sure you saw it when you visited. But there's also something important to be said for continuing to believe that you have some control over your life, that you have some agency over your life. And when people have lost that, it really creates a lot of self-destructive tendencies.
Together, they campaigned on a vision of bringing American jobs back, standing up to China, and fighting the political establishment.
Republicans, we need to govern like we won the majority the American people gave us, not like a bunch of cowards. Let's get to work in Washington, D.C. No more talk. It's time for action.
Their win was not just a victory for Trump, but a signal that Vance was ready to step into the national spotlight.
Moms like mine, who struggled with money and addiction, but never gave up. And I'm proud to say that tonight my mom is here, 10 years clean and sober. I love you, Mom.
JD Vance and illegal immigration.
Whether you have a higher minimum wage or a lower minimum wage, the way to destroy the wages of American workers is to import 20 million illegal aliens and let them stay here with work visas.
One of the key issues that JD Vance has become known for is his strong stance on illegal immigration. Throughout his campaign, Vance made it clear that securing America's borders is a priority.
If you are in this country illegally, in 6 months, pack your bags because you're going home. Now, here's what we're going to do on top of it. We are going to re-implement deportations in this country. We're going to finish that beautiful border wall along the state of Arizona and everywhere else. We are going to stop catch and release, and we're going to stop giving Medicare benefits and health care benefits to illegal aliens. They deserve to go to American citizens, not the people who have no right to be in this country.
Vance has been vocal in calling for stricter immigration policies and an emphasis on legal immigration.
You don't even have to assume people are criminals. What does it do to the local public school when all of a sudden 1,000 newcomers show up that don't even speak English, right? What does it do to the hospital system when you now have thousands of people in a small healthcare system that are showing up to get emergency services because they don't have access otherwise to a doctor, and now the American citizens have to wait in line for 7 hours to get to see a doctor because we've overwhelmed the local hospital system? What does it do to housing prices? We've seen this in a number of communities, including those that I represent in Ohio. When you bring in thousands upon thousands of people, you cannot build enough houses quickly enough to accommodate that, so the cost of housing becomes unaffordable for American citizens. It is the craziest thing that we've seen in this country that you don't even allow people to talk about the effects of mass migration anymore.
Right.
He argues that illegal immigration puts undue pressure on American workers, drives up crime rates, and impacts national security. He's also spoken out about the need to overhaul the U.S. immigration system to ensure that those who enter the country do so legally and contribute to American society.
Part of the problem with our illegal immigration system, and there are a lot of problems, but one of them is that it's so profoundly unfair to people who have done the right way, who have waited in line, who have paid the fees. And this is one of the reasons why we have to get our hands wrapped around this illegal immigration problem. It's unfair because there are great people who want to come to our country. And I think to me, the question that we have to ask is, what is it that we want out of welcoming newcomers into our country? You know, we want people with great values. We want people who are willing to work hard, who are willing to play by the rules, who are going to contribute to their communities. And obviously, you can't let everybody in that wants to come, but you've got to have an orderly process.
JD Vance's extraordinary speech capability.
Of all the pressing challenges that the nations represented here face, I believe there is nothing more urgent than mass migration. Today, almost 1 in 5 people living in this country moved here from abroad. That is, of course, an all-time high. It's a similar number, by the way, in the United States, also an all-time high. The number of immigrants who entered the EU from non-EU countries doubled between 2021 and 2022 alone, and of course, it's gotten much higher since. And we know the situation, it didn't materialize in a vacuum. It's the result of a series of conscious decisions made by politicians all over the continent and others across the world over the span of a decade. No voter on this continent went to the ballot box to open the floodgates to millions of unvetted immigrants. But you know what they did vote for? In England, they voted for Brexit, and agree or disagree, they voted for it. And more all over Europe, they're voting for political leaders who promise to put an end to out-of-control migration.
Another reason JD Vance has risen to prominence is his ability to speak with passion and clarity. Whether in front of a local crowd or at a global summit, Vance has proven that he can connect with people on a wide range of issues. In Paris, Vance delivered a powerful speech on artificial intelligence and its future role in global politics. His ability to simplify complex issues and make them relatable to the average American is one of his strongest assets.
America is the leader in AI, and our administration plans to keep it that way. And let me be emphatic about this point. America wants to partner with all of you, and we want to embark on the AI revolution before us with a spirit of openness and collaboration. But to create that kind of trust, we need international regulatory regimes that fosters the creation of AI technology rather than strangles it. And we need our European friends in particular to look to this new frontier with optimism rather than trepidation. Many of our most productive tech companies are forced to deal with the EU's Digital Services Act and the massive regulations it created about taking down content and policing so-called misinformation. And of course, we want to ensure the internet is a safe place. But it is one thing to prevent a predator from preying on a child on the internet, and it is something quite different to prevent a grown man or woman from accessing an opinion that the government thinks is misinformation.
Free speech and censorship. One of the most defining aspects of JD Vance's political philosophy is his defense of free speech. In a world where censorship is increasingly becoming a global issue, Vance has been vocal in his opposition to government overreach and corporate control of public discourse.
That I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America.
Vance's commitment to protecting free speech has made him a strong advocate for liberty, both in the U.S. and around the world. As he continues to rise in prominence, his voice on this issue will only grow stronger.
What I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension, American citizens.
Conclusion: the future of JD Vance. From best-selling author to the 2024 Vice President of the United States, JD Vance's political journey is just beginning. With his powerful speeches, defense of free speech, and populist vision, he is shaping the future of American politics. As we look ahead, JD Vance's political future is one of the most exciting stories to follow.
The negotiation in public with the American media, he's going to do it in private with the president of Russia, with the president of Ukraine, and with other leaders. And I think that's how this has to go. I think that I just want to push back against some of the criticism I've seen of the administration on this, because every single time the president engages in diplomacy, you guys preemptively accuse him of conceding to Russia. He hasn't conceded anything to anyone. He's doing the job of a diplomat, and he is, of course, the diplomat in chief as the President of the United States.
Will he run for president? What role will he play in shaping the future of the Republican Party? Time will tell. But one thing is certain. JD Vance's impact on American politics is just getting started.
Do you view Vice President JD Vance as your successor, the Republican nominee in 2028?
No, but he's very capable. I mean, I don't think that I think you have a lot of very capable people. So far, I think he's doing a fantastic job. It's too early. We're just starting.
But by the time you get to the midterms, he's going to be looking for an endorsement.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that this has been the greatest opening, almost 3 weeks, in the history of the presidency.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more political insights. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.
If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel so you can stay up to date with our latest content.